Even if you don't like us, we like us.
The crowd is absolutely wild as Vern Gagne's All-Star Wrestling goes coast to coast and continent to continent. The greatest wrestlers in the world.
He may be an apprentice carpenter, but I guarantee you he is a seasoned ring veteran.
I've been hit with bar stools, bar rags, barmaids.
I'm talking to you. They're scared that Hulkamania's still running wild. Oh, yeah. I got a big fat wife and 9 kids at home, and I gotta feed them. And take a look at Jesse the Body in real life.
Open your hand once if you would.
You want the sick?
This is absolutely unbelievable. Totally, completely out of control.
He's coming in over the top. Hey! Look out!
Hello, everybody. Welcome into AWA Unleashed. We are the preeminent #1 podcast dedicated to telling the stories and reliving the memories of the greatest wrestling territory in the history of the wrestling business, the American Wrestling Association. My name is Chris Tubbs. I'm joined by Slick Mick and Polish Joe. I do have one thing when I'm looking at that open, though, guys. We talk about just the gratitude that we have for the Gagnes and what they've done, because if it wasn't for the Gagnes, we would not be doing the show. But in that video, in that opening montage, Joe, that is very clearly a choke by the boss. Why are we showing something with the boss cheating? That's not good.
According to Stanley Blackburn and the powers that be, it was not a chokehold. Nick Bockwinkel's was a chokehold.
I'm going to point out to you that Vern Gagne at the time was a multi-millionaire, and Stanley Blackburn was easily bought off. For years, Bobby Heenan said Blackburn was bought off. The promotion was bought off. Why would you doubt what Bobby Heenan said? And as Chris said,
the beacon of honesty.
A guiding light, a shining light on the hill.
I mean, he's the one that got rid of the fake news term because you went to the Heenan School of Broadcasting. If you know about the Heenan School of Broadcasting, I mean, that is as objective as you're going to get.
All I can say is what I said was what was stated back in the day. You can take your opinions and do whatever you'd like with them. I'm just pointing out what the powers that be did at that time. Whether you agree with it or not is up to you. Oh, and by the way, it's professional wrestling, so let's move on.
Blatant chokehold. Let's move on.
Yes. Well, we are going to move on because it's more of Micks Pix. And everybody, I mean, we can't get enough of Micks Pix, right? I mean, people are they're like, hey, we want some Micks Pix. And I'm like, what?
Believe it.
They're like, Micks Pix. I'm like, oh, Micks Pix. So we're going to go over a few more pictures today. But we do have some business to take care of. Fast forward to about the, 5 minute and 13 second mark. Because here we go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we do have the pinfall membership. We do have that. And I know Joe's checked out because he knows what the deal is. We don't have a brand new graphic, but hopefully now that my schedule is starting to ease up, we'll get a graphic and I'll get the information to Joe. $4.99 a month. You get our monthly live streams, our live chats. You get our watch alongs, which are a hell of a lot of fun, honestly. Yeah. What? You're killing my promo time here.
Wow. You guys just both of you just completely froze up on my end for a bit.
Was that on us? Was that on us, Mick, or was that on Joe?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, good. Well, okay. I've got
with me anyway.
All right. Well, way to kill the segment here. Okay, so we've got $4.99 a month.
Long before that.
That's true. $4.99. Go to YouTube. You get access to special interviews, and you get a lot of really fun stuff. We're enjoying it, and if you support us via the Patreon, we can always put out more content. And I know that people want more, and this is a way to help us kind of be able to do a little bit more, because without that, frankly, we can't do as much content as we want. Also, tpublic.com/user/unleash plus, shirts, mugs, phone cases, anything you want. You get AWA Unleashed, you get Slick Mick, you get a lot of really good things at tpublic.com. Done. 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, so let's move on, and we've got Slick Mix Pix. Are we ready?
We are, and we unfortunately, here we go again. We had a little bit of a respite, but 2 longtime wrestling veterans passed away this past week. One, of course, was Sid Vicious. Had cancer, was battling cancer for several years and kind of maintaining a low profile. Sid was actually scheduled to be coming to the Twin Cities for an appearance with Midwest All-Star Wrestling.
I know. That's just it. That makes it hurt a little bit more, because I know that there were fans that were looking forward to seeing Sid because he had kept a low profile.
Absolutely. And he had not been feeling well. And just recently, of all things, he had posted, he was kind of imploring people, if you want to see me in the WWE Hall of Fame, please let the powers that be know. And he made a comment. He said, the clock is ticking for me. And nobody really put, a lot of thought into what he said there, but he was very ill, and 63 years old is a young guy. And Sid, arguably one of the best and most entertaining of the big men in wrestling history. And sad deal with Sid Vicious. So our hearts and thoughts, prayers go out to Sid's family and friends, and also a little bit lesser known than Sid, but nonetheless a great veteran, Sonny King, who had made his name as a wrestling heel manager down in the Georgia Championship Wrestling area. Sonny would come out with a lollipop and put over some of the notorious bad guys of the day. He also wrestled up in the New York WWF area, was a tag team champion up there. Sonny was a little bit older. Sonny was about 20 years older than Sid, but nonetheless, we got a break for a couple of weeks with the wrestlers passing, and boom, we got a double header. So condolences to Sonny King's family and friends as well. And time marches on, my friends.
Time waits for no one.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Mick was regarding Sid. He was Lord Humongous, wasn't he, when he first came on?
He was, down in the Memphis territory, I believe. And Sid had a great career, and unfortunately, he's another one of these guys like Shockmaster, who's going to be remembered by some people as, tripping over the board in his opening promo. Sid with that, I'm half the man you are, or I have half the brain that you do.
The WCW promo, and then the one where he wanted to start over with Gene, and Gene's like, "No, we're live."
Yeah,
those are the two that people are gonna. Those are the two that people are gonna remember. So I don't want to step. I've got one thing I want to say about Sid before we move on, but I'll let you guys finish it up, because then I want to get your thoughts on something.
I'd mentioned too, I worked with Sid briefly in the old AWF in Chicago. And again, like Bruiser Brody, watching him get ready for a promo was outstanding. You'd be talking to the guy, he's nice and quiet next to you, and all of a sudden he's spraying water all over himself, walking in a circle, talking to himself. The red light turns on, and boom, you got full Sid Vicious mode. And, a huge loss for wrestling.
Regarding the couple of situations that you're talking about, with the live promo with Gene and so forth, none of us is perfect.
Right.
No.
To look at, a handful, shall we say, over his career, a handful of promo flub ups possibly, or even, stuff that happened in the ring, his leg snapping, came off the top rope, is one of the infamous clips. But it's a fraction of a percent of missteps, no pun intended, with his broken leg, versus what really was a long career. I challenge any anybody to try to do a live
That's it.
show. I mean, hell, even on this podcast. I mean, last week I phased out, or it was a couple of weeks ago. See, I'm.
Oh my God! Did you ever? Well, you do it so often, I lose count.
I certainly do there, Matt. My point is, Sid was an incredible performer. You don't make it to the big show without having the talent, and that he did. And his Psycho Sid version, just one of my favorites, because he was such a big badass. It was believable just by seeing him.
Yeah, I think that we have these certain eras in wrestling, and we're going to get to the pictures here in a minute, guys. But there are certain eras in wrestling, and I know, you kind of talk about the, 97, 98, the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars and everything. I don't think it would be hyperbolic to say that the Sid Vicious, Shawn Michaels program kind of kickstarted a lot of that, where the badass heel all of a sudden was the babyface, because Survivor Series at the Garden, Sid went in as the heel, dominated Shawn Michaels, and got over so big. The pop when he won that title, I think that was kind of one of the kicking off, like, okay, these cool heels. Sid was a cool heel. He was a guy that you wanted to support because he was just a wrecker.
How could you boo Sid Vicious? I mean, seriously. And like you say, the area of the Road Warriors and Demolition and guys like that who were the badass heels that the crowd loved. Boy, you got to put Sid right at the top of that list. How could you not? I mean, this guy entertained you. You knew that he was the real deal, and he could kick the shit out of half the locker room, if not all the locker room. Yeah, so again, huge loss for wrestling. Both Sid and Sonny King, rest in peace.
Agreed. But we're going to move on to picks now?
Yep, let's get to the picks here. And Joe, I'm going to let you cue it up. So I'm going to take me off the screen. I'm going to let you guys kind of do your thing, and I'm going to start rolling with these pictures.
So the whole Micks Pix thing, a little bit of a tongue twister. So I'm going to call this photo roulette. And what do we have as our first target, Mick?
There we go. Take a look at that face.
Don't change the gimmick, Joe. It's Mick Pix.
I'll do whatever the hell I want. Just go back into your corner tubs.
Okay.
Wow. At any rate, that mask man, Mr. M, a different Mr. M, happens to be our good buddy, Don Morocco. And, if you look closely at the face and then the physique, which hadn't even yet developed into the beast that he was to become, that is our good pal Morocco. I believe this is from the Florida territory. So a little blip in history when Don Morocco donned, pardon the expression, the mask.
I had to chuckle. You said, take a look at that face. It's like, I don't see one. All right, moving on to the next. Oh, is that Lanza?
It's Lanza. There's an old expression, never wake up a sleeping cowboy. I don't know if there's actually an expression or not. I just made it up. But this is an AWA shot. I'm not sure what town this was in. Jack was relaxing his 6'5", 6'6" frame on a. This may be an airport. Is that an airport shot, Joe? Is that what it looks like? Yeah. So possibly Jack was, between towns there. One of the legendary tough guys in the history of the business, and that's legit. But you got to love I love the candid shots, and that's Jack Lanza waiting for that probably Northwest Orient flight way back in the day, and I'm sure Jack rode first class.
I think what's happening in this photo is that the gate attendant just announced that there was a delay in the flight. Lanza woke up and said, "I'm gonna fucking give you a brain buster." Or was that what it was called? No, what was?
Yeah.
Brain buster. Okay.
Yeah, Lanza's was the brain buster. Big Jack. Yeah.
That's what he did?
Well,
okay. I didn't see any Lanza, so I was like, I wasn't sure if this was kind of like Baron when he put on the claw, like you do that. So, okay.
Right in the temple.
Gotcha.
The knuckle in there.
Yeah,
gotcha.
right on and he didn't even have a cast on. Let's
moving on to the next pick.
Yeah.
Well, it's of Mick Karch. So Mick was a long-time wrestling announcer.
That's great. Long time wrestling announcer.
Oh, yes.
Joe, this is for you, buddy. I don't know who the artist was here, but I'm telling you, this is one hell of an artistic effort. The Crusher, Beer Town, USA. That is one heck of a depiction there. And this goes back far enough. I don't think it's a Schamberger picture or drawing. I don't know. But boy, if that doesn't epitomize Crusher back in the day with the 100-gallon keg on his shoulder, the only thing missing is Wanda. And that's for you, Choops.
Well, I love it. You're right. Wanda is missing. She'll look good maybe in the back seat of the car for Crusher.
Well, it better be a big back seat with Wanda. I mean, you might be looking at a four-wheeler there, or eight-wheeler or whatever to get Wanda back there. But God love Crush. Moving on, as we do here periodically. Boom.
Vern and Mary.
Vern and Mary Gagne, and that shot, I love it. Not only because of Vern's choice in shirt. I have a closet full of those. I'm not sure if Mary is attempting to put a sleeper on Vern. Looks like she might be.
Yeah, I think she's showing him how to do it without the choke.
Yeah, but you know what? Look at her wrist there, Chris. It is underneath the chin. It's alongside the carotid artery, which would make it a legitimate sleeper. But you just move it over a little bit to that Adam's apple, and you got, maybe that's where Vern learned the hold. Maybe it's Mary after all these years. But that one goes back probably 65 years or so. And look, judged by Vern's hairline, I'd say late 1950s, maybe 1960.
So you said that you've got a whole closet full of those shirts. Is that how Vern paid you? Is just his hand-me-down shirts?
He did. And as a matter of fact, just before the AWA folded, he asked for the shirts back. And I flat out refused. I said, Vern, no, for that nightmare that you put me through in Las Vegas, I'm keeping the goddamn shirts. And I did. So yeah, my shirt looks pretty much like a closet.
Good for you.
Yeah, at a prison.
Why would he want the shirts back? I mean, they'd be stretched out. So I don't get it. But
I'm going to ignore that obvious weight comment from you, Chupik.
I would never do any kind of a comment that would denigrate you, Mick. Oh, I'm moving on.
Moving on.
Sorry, this is a great picture. This might be one of the favorite ones I've seen this week.
This is that's my son there on the Mad Dog's knee. That goes back, I want to say 1990, 1991, and that is at the Apache Plaza shopping center of all things. And Steve Olsanowski and I believe Ken Patera, the dog, and the Baron were making kind of a personal appearance. So the Saturday night at ringside cameras went down to the Apache Plaza Center in the Twin Cities. And look at that. I mean, look at those two vicious heels there, the Baron and the dog. And I believe Brett was about 7-8 years old there. And I show him this picture all the time and just let him know what great guys, what terrific guys Baron and the dog were.
I can't love that picture enough. Was Brett a wrestling fan growing up?
He had to be.
Well, I figured, but
there was no choice. No, you know what? I think over time, Brett, he likes wrestling and he follows the podcast, but certainly, and thank goodness, he did not follow his old man's size 12s into the wrestling business. But yeah, he's proud of what we all do here, and yeah, I kind of forced him into the spotlight there when he was 8 years old.
Well, forced or not, and for that photo, I would have loved to have had a photo when I was 8 years old of Mad Dog and Crusher, or Mad Dog and Baron. So great pick, Mick.
Your son got a chance to live a lot of kids' dreams, being able to do things like that, and I see that, and it's so cool because that, sometimes jobs, they allow you the opportunities for your kids to do things that they wouldn't normally get a chance to, and that's what I'm thankful for. My job at the radio station, we get a chance to do things for my daughter that she normally wouldn't do, and you can't take those for granted because we're very, very fortunate to have these situations, you guys. I mean, I agree. I'm sure your kids the same way, Joe. Like your kids got opportunities to do things because of your position.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's, memories as they look back on them as they get older. Hopefully they will better or further understand the coolness of it and the opportunities that they had. The older you get and the more time passes, the more you should appreciate those things. Let's move on to the next pick.
Moving on, and drum roll. I put this one up. This one goes back, I want to say, and I could be off by a year or two, and God knows somebody will call me on it. But that is Billy Red Lyons and Dr. X in the main event. AWA, I would say 1968-ish, give or take. And of course, you look at the wrestlers, the lineup, tremendous from top to bottom. You didn't have 16 matches. You didn't need them. You didn't have a football stadium. You didn't need that. You had a red hot crowd. And the interesting thing, of course, about Billy Red Lyons and the mysterious Dr. X, and Lyons always, he wanted to take that mask off and figure out who his brother-in-law was, his real life brother-in-law under the mask. He just didn't recognize him. It was kind of like Clark Kent, taking the glasses off. You didn't know who he was. But Billy Red Lyons and Dr. X, real life brothers-in-law back in the day, and that is from Minneapolis. I love those old newspaper clips.
I noticed the start time at 8:30 p.m. That's starting to get pretty late for the kiddos.
Yeah, it was. But, by the same token, you had a chance to watch the TV show and then get down to the auditorium, Minneapolis or St. Paul. And the crowds, again, you got 5-6 matches on a show. So you're out of there by about 11 o'clock, with intermission. So it worked out okay. And it was a weekend night and everybody was happy. And, I'm looking over there at Professor Druck, who I've mentioned before, Steve Druck, manager of Chris Markoff, back in the day, was on the show. Great stuff. Real nostalgic.
You bring up the get done and out of there by 11 o'clock. So fans might think, okay, 2.5 hours for 5 matches. What the heck? Well, one, matches were longer, but two, the cards never started on time. I mean, they were notoriously late. I'm not going to say every, 99% of the time. If it was an 8:30 start, you'd be lucky if you got started by 8:45.
You're absolutely right, Joe. And it was tradition about 8:45, like you say, the slow clap. The slow clap, let's get this show on the road. And then all of a sudden the house lights turned off, the lights above the ring were on, and the crowd popped.
And you can't forget that cloud of smoke. It wasn't fog machines, it was still smoke because everybody was smoking indoors still.
That's correct.
So when it came to, because wrestling cards are notorious for starting a little bit late, with the exception of the pay-per-views, PLEs, TV, whatever. Did they announce like the time limits and then start to skim on the time? Could you try to make that up? Because you start late, but if you're still going to be done by 11 o'clock, you have to shave that time. I mean, was it obvious back in those days that they were 15 minutes was like 8.5 or something?
It wasn't quite that bad back then until Al DeRusha started doing the announcing at the commentary table. Back then, it was, they might shave a couple of minutes off. They always did it. You know, whether they started on time or late, you never, ever took a wrestling clock timekeeper at his word. But yeah, when 10 minutes became a minute and a half in the El Darusha days, then it became a little bit more obvious. But yeah, I mean, that was typical. It was wrestling. There you go.
Well, Alec told me that depending on the match, if the match was the drizzling shits, then he would most certainly scale back the time limit. 15-minute match would become 8 or 9 minutes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, great.
Oh, that's
welcome to the world of professional wrestling.
I can't believe something in wrestling wasn't exactly what it was promoted to be. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Man, yeah.
Oh, killer. I love this one.
This is a great shot.
Is that Walter Payton?
That is Walter Payton. The great Walter Payton with Luna Vachon. And I'm guessing this would probably be in Chicago, although I don't know. Walter certainly made his way around the world. But I love that shot. And clearly Walter Payton is loving it. And old Trudy is doing her thing. She looks great. Just a wonderful, wonderful nostalgic shot.
I don't know if he's smiling in terrified fear or if he's enjoying it or maybe a little bit of both. But wow, I've never seen that picture.
Isn't that beautiful?
I think that probably would have been around like 94 WrestleMania 10. Because I think he was involved in WrestleMania 10 when they were, we started to see kind of the influx of NFL players. Because then that, a couple years, I think maybe like the next year it led to Bigelow and Lawrence Taylor. So I think that this was kind of the NFL crossover. So I believe that would have been about 94.
Perfect. And, you'll hear about it if it was 93, 95. Somebody will go on YouTube and comment. But I love that shot. And God, Luna looked great there.
She did. What do we got next, Chris?
Yeah, I'm appreciating Luna now that I'm seeing more of her not in like the Luna Vachon, the crazy gimmick. Like you look at it, she just looks like she would be just so sweet.
She was wonderful.
Like a chihuahua.
There you go. Now, there you go, Chupik. I've been saving this one for you. You talk about strange tag teams. You talk about strange bedfellows. Pardon the expression. That is Marty Jannetty on the left and Bulldog Bob Brown on the right-hand side. That is, I believe, in the Kansas City territory. Certainly of the two, Bob Brown was the high flyer. We know that.
Yeah.
Hurricane Ranas and Flying Head Scissors was Bob Brown's trademark.
He's the third member of the Rockers, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. He was the old cocker member of that team. But there you go. And this is interesting too from a
old cocker, young rocker.
His historical or hysterical standpoint. Bob Brown always had that Bud Grant kind of
flat top
crew cut going on, and Bob apparently, in order to be accepted more as a rocker, more as a young guy, sex symbol, he has decided to let his hair grow out a little bit longer there. Jannetty and Brown in wrestling history, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure that they would crack the top 800 tag teams, 1,000 maybe, but there you go, Jupes.
Oh, great pick. I'm guessing 85.
I don't know if I'm not sure that Brown was that old at this point. Oh, the year. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know, but that would be about right. Yeah, just before Marty came to the AWA territory.
So do we have to ask who's going to be the Bob Brown of the team from now on?
Oh, good call. I think, sad to say, I'm thinking even in this case, it was probably the Marty Jannetty of the team. Because Brown had a stake in the Kansas City territory, so he's probably putting himself over. But
how many stakes did he have in the Kansas City area?
Several. Okay. Potatoes. The whole shot there. But
he's probably the one that attracted most of the women to Marty. Let's be honest.
I think so.
I mean, if it wasn't for Bob Brown, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels never would have gotten the
Never.
the attention they got from the ladies.
Never.
You know, I want to just say one thing about Bob Brown. You know, we talk on this podcast a lot about that disastrous match.
Yeah.
I chuckle even thinking about it from wrestling.
Oh, we're watching it. Oh, we're watching it sometime.
We will, but Bulldog Bob Brown deserves credit.
Absolutely, he does.
Like I was talking about earlier with Sid, I mean, you can't look at one piece of work and make that an embodiment of their entire career. So I don't want anybody to think that Bulldog Bob Brown was horseshit or that he sucked. He didn't.
No, he did not.
That match sucked big time. But no, Bulldog Bob Brown was a very good talent.
Yeah, not the biggest guy in the world in height, but he was a great heel, and he could stand toe-to-toe with Bruiser Brody, for example. So yeah, we have fun with Bob Brown as we do with the JT Southerns of the world. But Bob Brown, he made a damn good career as a pro wrestler.
Well, yeah, and to me, like, I've never seen Bob Brown with Marty Jannetty. So I mean, it's like Sesame Street. Which one of these isn't like the other? Which one of these doesn't belong? I mean, that's just kind of, I mean, it's a strange bedfellows, but I mean,
very much so.
I have to call it like I see it.
There you go. Let's move on.
Oh, okay. We are moving on.
Oh, there you go. That is Laverne Clarence Gagne's, I believe that is Marine Corps ID picture. And, so we're saying 1944. Yeah, that would make sense. Vern was 18 years old at the time. But Laverne Clarence Gagne and that military crew cut. But boy, you take a look at that and boom, instantly pops out at the screen. My God, there's Vern Gagne with hair. Great pick.
You know, I certainly, the hair is one thing I noticed, but the spelling of Vern's name, until right now, I guess I never put two and two together, but many times on graphics or in writings, when they would never write Laverne Gagne for a wrestling article, it was always Vern. Mm-hmm. But there were times when it was just VERN, and then the more commonly, and what I used later on and was never told not to, was VERNE.
Well, so what's the proper way?
Well, I don't know that there is, because you can see the real spelling of his name, Laverne. So it's a short, I guess Vern was really like a nickname.
Yeah, and I'm thinking back to the time frame. I remember seeing Vern's name on the credits on the All-Star Wrestling show in the 70s, and he had the E at that point. So I'm thinking probably late 1960s he dropped the E, and there you go. But in any case, it's good old Vern.
That's cool.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Before he ostracized you, Mick.
Never happened.
Next
of never
photo. Oh, see, Vern sicked these two on you. The Terminators.
You might have been right the first time.
Mick's enjoying that slam. Look at that. He's like, wee.
I was going to point that out. I'm enjoying that shot a little bit too much. This would have been 1986, I believe. The Terminators. On the left, that is the late John Voight, and on the right, our friend Dan Brignanti. The Terminators, Crow and Riggs, and they were working Eddie Sharkey's PWA promotion back in the day. We went to do an interview shoot, and I said, "Hey guys, how about let's take a picture before we go?" And they said, "Sure, come here." And the next thing I knew, and you notice we're against a wall there, and you don't see my feet, but my feet are pressed up against the wall because I was such a fat slob that even the Terminators had difficulty maintaining that position. But again,
the wall had to help you get leverage on a slam.
Yeah, it did. I couldn't even sell a goddamn go up for a picture. So yeah, I'm pressing against the wall, but The Terminators were a great tag team back in the day, and great to get, to hang around. We're going to have Dan Rignotti on this show one of these days. Terminator Dan, Terminator Riggs. And,
that would be cool.
Look at that face. Look at me there. I'm just like, can we take that shot again? Are you sure we got that shot right?
Well,
yeah.
I'm more interested in what happened afterwards. Did they body slam your ass?
No, they sent me down very, very gently on the floor, and I still was laid up for 6 weeks. It didn't matter. That was the kind of shape that I was in,
Well, the problem was they probably didn't like you because you were flaunting how good your mustache was when they've obviously got better facial hair.
Yeah, the dead caterpillar. My mustache. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at those guys.
Yeah, you bet.
It's Ron, Jeremy, and then John Raremy.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. I think I was using the name Little Dick Stuck back in the day, but I don't remember. Then I went to RK Fabe after that, so I had a host of names over the years. Do we have any more pictures at all?
I just want to end on that, but no, we can't.
Wow. There you go. That is one of wrestling's legendary tag teams on the left and the far right. That is Swede Hansen on the left. On the right is Rip Hawk. This picture probably goes back 60 years. In the middle there is their fan club president at the time, mid-1960s, none other than your pal, Chris Rock Riddle. That is Mr. Riddle with his tag team combination of Hawk and Hansen back in the day.
Is he the one wanting to cut the promo?
As a matter of fact, if you look at Rip Hawk on the right there, his eyes have been shut. Swede Hansen on the left is flabbergasted that a guy could be talking as long as he did. But even back then, and Rock has his own drink because he knows this is going to be a long speech. But that's our buddy Rock Riddle. God bless him, still wrestling at age 70-something. And that one goes back a long time.
Well, you shouldn't be surprised he's still wrestling. I mean, is that Jarrett Speed that he's holding, or?
If it was Jarrett Speed that he's holding, he would have retired at age 15 with all the stomach damage that it did. But no, we love Rock Riddle, and someday I'm going to have Rock sign this picture because
Rock's good people. If we ever wanted to kill a month's worth of like podcast shows, we could ask him to come on and we could just walk away and he'd pretty much take care of the whole show.
I don't know.
Which would be okay,
Yeah.
Probably an upgrade for some people.
You should have used the word kill a month's worth. He's, put over a month's worth, have a blockbuster month of,
That's true.
Of Rock Riddle.
No, I like Rock. Rock's good people.
He is.
He's awesome. He's a personality. He's genuinely he's friendly, and you don't get that sometimes from a lot of guys in this business. So I appreciate Rock's personality.
Very much so. A lot of guys are unapproachable. Rock says, please approach me.
Yes, absolutely.
There you go, guys. Now, every once in a while, we come up with the baby pictures, and I will, you'll get this one. You will get this one if I say she was a wrestler, not an AWA wrestler, but with a Minnesota connection. Anybody? Double Jeopardy?
Molly Holly?
Boom. You got it.
Really?
That is the young Nora Greenwald, Molly Holly, and one of the nicest, sweetest ladies you would ever want to meet in the wrestling business. Excuse me, in or out of the ring. That is a toddler shot of magnificent Molly Holly.
How did you get short of adorable?
Isn't that something? She is just beautiful, and I don't know how old Molly is. I won't venture a guess, but again, what a terrific lady. You ever meet and talk to Molly Holly? She just warms your heart. Absolutely.
And she's genuinely just good people. A couple of years ago, MAW, they have their annual Grand Slam event, and she called up and to donate her time to be able to help raise money for a Native American women's shelter, just out of the kindness of her own heart. That's just the kind of person that she is.
Yeah,
we need more people like her.
You got it. You got it. Thank you.
The world would be a better place with more Molly Holly.
All right, who's coming up?
And speaking of the world with good people,
I love this shot, and that is Mr. and Mrs. Jim Brunzell, and they are flanking Mean Gene Okerlund. And, their history obviously goes back a long, long time. God bless Gene, of course, no longer with us. Gene looks fairly young there, and I'm not sure how far back this picture goes. I don't know if that's up here in Minnesota or if it was in Florida where Gene lived for quite some time, but I love that shot. Again, we've talked about it so many times, guys, the camaraderie and the genuine love family of professional wrestlers.
I'm trying to figure out, that can't be Minnesota. It looks too warm. It looks
I thought Florida. That was Florida. Yeah.
It looks like Florida, but Gene, God bless him.
Well, and it also looked like it's probably before a Gopher football game, because Jim's got a smile.
Had to be before the game.
Oh yeah, but by the way, how stupid can you be if you're the University of Minnesota? You lose a football game, and you're like, you know what? We lose on a game, field goal that goes wide right. We're gonna shoot off some fireworks. Who shoots off fireworks after you lose a football game? Sky-U-Ma?
Operator error, gotta be.
I don't think it was operator error. I think they just have a stash of so many freaking fireworks over the years.
Because they don't.
They never got to shoot them off in the past. Might as well do it now.
You know what? We were
Rose
close.
Bowl my ass. 61, 62 years ago, we were in the Rose Bowl and we didn't have a cast.
It's true.
There you go. Now, it tells you right there who it is. I love that shot. Queen candidate Vicki Anderson, unfortunately, is not the main character here, but the frater Alan Rogowski, Rock Rogowski, Ole Anderson. That is the gentleman in the picture. So I'm assuming, by frat, it is a college photograph. So that would go back, 1962, 63, maybe a little bit earlier. But look at Ole there. And if you look closely, guys, is that a smile on Ole Anderson's face?
He's breaking kayfabe already.
He already is. We didn't. I think that was the last time Ole smiled for the next 60 years.
Well, can you blame him though?
Pardon me?
Can you blame him for smiling?
Oh, she's a beaut. And Vicki Anderson, interestingly enough, the Anderson name there, I don't think that had anything to do with Ole's eventual choice in name, but I love that picture. And no, Ole is not bigger than the Eiffel Tower. That is an illusion. But God love Ole. Mr. Happy.
I didn't see the Anderson game. The Anderson, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I wouldn't have even have noticed the Anderson.
Coinky dink, yes.
Yeah.
And here we go. This is one of the greatest autographs in history. I absolutely love this. Nick didn't sign this for me. He signed it for, a fan somewhere around the country. But he's being Irish whipped into the corner by Andre the Giant. And what better caption for a picture than "oh shit"? That pretty much says it all. That was the Bockwinkel sense of humor. But honest to God, if you look at autographs over the years, not going to be too many that are captioned "oh shit," but very appropriate for this one. God love Nick.
He was even selling into the throw into the ropes.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, I take that back. He probably wasn't selling. He really was thinking, "oh shit."
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. hoping that Andre, could at least, find the ropes and not send them into the balcony or something. But that is a great shot, great caption.
Oh, I love that. The oh shit, man. God, I wish I would have gotten a chance to meet Nick. It just, man,
still be in your very first conversation. Trust me.
There we go. That is going back, 33 years. That's the hospitality room at Sydney, Australia. And that is myself with Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff on the left, and Gene Lewis, Gene Pettit, Hillbilly Cousin Luke on the right. And a couple of things. First of all, Paul was over as a major baby face. And this is 1991-ish. Interesting story about poor Cousin Luke. He injured his back in a match in Sydney towards the end of the tour. And I mean, really hurt his back badly. Both wrestlers, of course, as a sidebar, are both no longer with us. God bless them. But the poor guy, Cousin Luke, had to lay in the back of the plane on the floor. He could not sit in a seat because his back was that bad. And we're talking going from Sydney, Australia, to Honolulu, to Los Angeles, to wherever. So I don't know how many hours he was laying on the floor in an airplane because his back was that bad. A great guy to work with. Both of them were. And I can't believe it's 33 years ago.
I do have a question. Could you put that pic back up there, Chris, please? So is that a microphone or an ice cream treat in your hand there, Mick?
It's an ice cream cone in my hand there. It is, but I announced into the ice cream cone that I was about to eat the cone, and I have just introduced Mr. Wonderful and Hillbilly Cousin Luke using whatever prop I had at the time, and it happened to be an ice cream cone, and it's none of your goddamn business. As a matter of fact, what I'm holding in my hand.
Well I was actually referring to what are you doing with your left hand, and are you holding the cone?
I spilled a little vanilla in my crotch, and thus the picture. Why do you always care about what I have in my lap, Chupik? From week to week.
I wouldn't say week to week, maybe bi-weekly, but not every week. I mean, come on.
Get another picture. Please, another picture.
And when you're holding the ice cream,
hey!
Give me the gimmick.
Chris, please, a picture. Where is he?
A gimmick.
Oh my God, gimmick. Yep.
Yeah.
Chris fell asleep. That's over.
Oh no!
There he is.
I wanted to see how long I could go and make it awkward with you guys.
Oh, it was awkward from the get-go, Chris.
Oh, it's awkward from before the opening of the show. Are you kidding?
Soon as we're already gone.
But I didn't want you guys to think that I wasn't here, because then you'd be like, oh shit, something technically happened. But no, I just wanted to see how uncomfortable it would get when you're talking about mixed cone and whatnot. So let's move on.
I love this picture. This is great. That is Larry the Axe Hennig, and that's John Gregelko. And John was Larry's high school wrestling coach at Robbinsdale High School. And they reunited. I'm going to guess this is probably, mid-2000s, maybe, 2013, 14. But I love that shot. And you talk about a genuine love that Larry Hennig had for his old-time wrestling coach. To me, that's one of the great wrestling pictures ever. I absolutely love this shot.
Something special with that bond between a player and their old coach. One that you respect, and obviously Larry had a bunch of respect for this one.
Absolutely. And we talked about that Robbinsdale wrestling program, Chris, over the years. Mm-hmm. My God.
Genuine love from Larry Hennig, the person, the man, not pretty boy, not Larry the Axe. It was Larry Hennig showing respect and love for his wrestling coach. And it's one of those candid shots that you wouldn't see that. It is, and God, it's so cool.
Yep. And that's
a lot of love.
That's
love
why
in
we
that
do
picture.
shows like this, Chris. That's why we bring up these pictures, because you don't see them all the time. Love this shot too. Cauliflower Alley. You talk about strange bedfellows as we have in the past. That's the Killer Bees, our buddy Jumpin' Jim, who of course is now the owner of AWA Unleashed Hoodie. On the right, B. Brian Blair, president of Cauliflower Alley Club, and in the middle, the notorious, hated Colonel De Beers, our old friend Ed Wiskoski. This was a handful of years ago at CAC. I don't believe Ed has been back since that time. I heard that his health was not the greatest. Love to get him on the show. My God, if we could get Colonel De Beers on. But that's a great shot. Again, the camaraderie of the wrestling business.
I never worked with Brian, spoke with him a few times, but the other two, the stories that they had, throwing Brian's stories, that'd be an entire evening's worth of cocktails.
Colonel had his ass left a permanent indentation at the bar stool at the Gold Coast and at the Riviera. You would see him about 7 o'clock in the evening sitting at the bar in the hotel, and then 7 the next morning, Colonel was still there. His head was on the bar itself, but great guy. Oh God, if
I would love to get Ed on.
Oh, that would be tremendous. A lot to talk about there. I don't know. I know he's out west, someplace in either the Colorado, Arizona, someplace, but boy, would he be a great guest. Let's work on it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And this is the last one, Mick, just to let you know.
All right. Boy, we tore through this one. Let's go to the last photograph. You know, I don't know if we put this picture up before, guys, but if we have or if we haven't, this to me is an iconic picture. That is from one of the various fan fests. To the left, that is the one and only Dr. D, David Schultz. And to his right, you would almost think this was photoshopped. That is the Continental lover, Eddie Mansfield. And if wrestling fans, astute fans, are aware of the history of these two outside of the ring, you know that Dr. D, David Schultz, slapped the shit out of John Stossel on episode of 2020 for denigrating the wrestling business. On the other hand, Eddie Mansfield and the late Jim Wilson went on, and I believe it was the same show, also 2020. And they kind of exposed, they exposed the business, including blading.
The secrets of wrestling revealed.
There you go. And, you know, and how in the world did Dr. D sit next to Eddie Mansfield and vice versa without causing a full-scale riot? I don't know. Eddie looks to be happier taking the picture than does Dr. D, David Schultz, but talk about polar opposites in the way they approached and defended the wrestling business.
So when this photo first got called up, to me, Dr. D, David Schultz there, who is that artist on PBS?
Bob Ross.
But doesn't it look like Bob Ross?
Certainly does.
And now take a look at, it could be an older Marty Jannetty.
It could, absolutely. And again, the backstory, it's just fascinating to me.
No happy little trees in this picture, though. There are no happy little trees there.
Chris and Joe, wouldn't you anticipate that Dr. D would have said, no fucking way am I going to be posing with this guy after the way he exposed the business? But, you know, a lot of years had passed, I guess, and, you know, bygones be bygones. And you're
maybe, do you think that maybe once kayfabe got broken and everything was exposed, that maybe, I don't know, because, I mean, if kayfabe was still alive, I have to imagine that there's no way this picture would be taken. But once everything kind of got exposed, maybe was water under the bridge. I don't know. I don't know. That's just pure speculation on my part.
It makes total sense, and you would have to think that even Dr. D, as staunchly as he defended the business, and we saw him do it on the Morton Downey talk show as well, and you would have to think that after the train left the station, I know Dr. D gave some shoot interviews where he kind of, he was a lot more open. So, yeah, time and the breaking of kayfabe, I'm sure, softened the blow, but still, you look at that picture, wow.
Complete polar opposites during, shall we say, when the incidents or the situations arose. One exposed the business and the other one defended it with a slap up alongside the head.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that shot.
All right, let's do some shout outs and we'll take it home here.
All right. And first of all, I want to thank everybody for indulging us in these photo ops, as they say. Not a lot of opportunity to see some of these pictures, the history of wrestling that you will not normally see. So,
and that's why, sorry, Mick, and that's why YouTube is probably the best platform to get us on. I mean, you can get us on Spotify and Pandora and, Amazon and Apple Music and all of that. But I feel like for things like this, because we try and be a visual show, the visual aids to go with the stories, this is probably the best way to really get the full feel for what we do.
Absolutely. You got to see what we're talking about. And pictorial wise, that's the way to go. My shout out this week goes to one of the bravest young men I have ever met in my life, and that's Gavin Pearson. And a lot of people have followed Gavin's story on Facebook through the years. He had a non-malignant brain tumor at age 8, which was operated on. John Cena was a big fan of his. Molly Holly's. He's a genuine hero, and he has had a roller coaster ride, to say the least, over the years, ups and downs. And, he was never quite the same. They removed the non-malignant tumor, but he had a lot of after effects, and the tumor has grown back several times. Can't imagine the number of surgeries he's had. Steve and Nicole, his parents, are absolute troopers. And Gavin, Steve, Nicole, we love you. We know Gavin is going through some real shit right now again. And thoughts and prayers are with you. You are a superhuman family.
Yes, all the best to Gavin and the entire family. As a father of 3, his parents' greatest fear. I mean, your kid is sick and you want nothing more than to just have it jump out of them and let you take on that burden. So I can't even, thankfully, I can't even imagine, but my heart still goes out to the Pearsons.
Yeah, because we're all parents. We're all parents.
Yep.
Yes. My shout out goes to Cauliflower Alley Club member and apparently a long-time fan and a big fan of AWA Unleashed, Roman Gomez. And I've got to admit, Mick gave me this one because I wasn't at CAC. But Roman, Mick says nothing but good things about you, as far as you know. And so, Roman Gomez, this week's shout out from Polish Joe.
And mine is going to go to Bob Widmer. It was I had a chance a few weeks ago during MAW's Falls Fury down in my hometown of Redwood Falls, and I had a chance to meet Bob, and he came up and he's like, "Hey, are you Chris Tubbs from the podcast?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, listen all the time. I love the podcast." And thank you, Bob, for telling me what your last name was, because I get people's first names, and then I have this really bad habit of somebody introducing themselves to me and then 5 minutes later forgetting who it was that I talked to. So thank you, Bob, for meeting me in Redwood Falls. It was my pleasure. Thank you, because without individuals like you, we don't do this podcast. We don't, this would have been kind of a one and done, right? We would have been in and out of the territory. We're 2.5 years strong and we are still going. And thank you to Bob, and thank you to everybody for supporting. But if you want to support even more, join our Patreon, $4.99 a month. I'm telling you guys, even for all the nonsense that we say, $4.99 a month. I mean, a letter from me, you get pictures from Mick, I think like a 5-pack of pictures. You get a magnet, you get a sticker, you get a letter, you get the podcast a day early, you get watch-alongs, you get live chats, you get exclusive interviews, exclusive shows. I mean, I think it's the best value in wrestling podcasting. But, and I'm not, I'm just being honest.
I was going to say second best value, because the best value would be for them to pay $9.99 so that they wouldn't have to listen and watch us.
Maybe, but by the way, Mick, are you guys familiar with the Justin Timberlake, Andy Samberg, Dick in a Box from Saturday Night Live?
Wasn't it a cock in a box? But...
No, it was a Dick in a Box with Lonely Island.
You've been waiting all week, haven't you?
I have. You know what this one is? Do you know what that is?
Would that be Mick in a Box?
That's a Mick in a Box.